All right, we're live.
Thank you. Good afternoon. House Government Operations and Military Affairs here to discuss the committee omnibus bill on the military. And we have Sophie here from Ledge Council. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Sophie Zadatny for the Office of Legislative Counsel. On the agenda, you had me walking through H811 first. So did you want me to do that?
Yes,
Okay.
please, because we're going to focus just on that today. Since the chair is not here, we'll just look at the changes that have been made.
Is it okay if I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please.
So this is a 21-page bill, but it will not take me 21 minutes to go through it. So this started off as a short form bill, and it was really around just making sure there was that cross-reference for the election of the Adjutant General, so that folks looking in Title 20 could find the reference to when and where the election and how that happens in Title 2. And then when I was in here last time, there was a discussion around cleaning up the current statutory language around Adjutant General, because through the statute, the references to the Adjutant and Inspector General. And so what this bill does is go through all the sections in the statute that mention Adjutant and Inspector General. And then there's some little minor cleanups where there was he or she, any of that sort of gender language. There were a couple of other spots just where language just gotten tightened up. So again, I don't think you want me to walk through every single time where that happened. It will get very boring. Again, and they're in chronological order through the statute. So starts off with 10 VSA section 10. And again, this is where the cross-reference will be to. This is the current language around the election. And I'm just going to fast forward to section 5 because that's where this originally started. And so here in 20 VSA section 363 is that cross-reference again to Title 2. And that was really what the purpose of the original statute was. And then up to you what you want me to do, but if you want me to walk through all the others, but literally it's just taking out the and inspector where all the places where that was in the statute.
If you would just like touch on which statutes they affect.
Yeah.
That would be great if you could just go through those. So
Okay.
we're aware of where all these statutes are. You don't have to say the number, but just the title of them. So
Yeah.
we're aware of how many references to the Adjutant General there are across our statutes.
Right. Well, there are 40 sections, I believe, if I remember correctly. Well, 40 with the effective date. So 39 sections. So title, I'm not going to do it on the screen because you'll probably start to feel motion sick. So section 1 and section 2 are in Title 2. So that's the title that deals with the legislature. So again, that's to do with the fact that the legislature elects the Adjutant General. Section 3 is in Title 16, which is the education piece. And again, that's just a reference under the Vermont National Guard Tuition Benefit Program in section 3. And then section 4, just want to make sure I tell you correctly. So section 4 through section 39, they're all in Title 20.
Well,
Actually, changes the
39 references down.
Well, and some of them had way more, obviously in any given statute, it may reference the Adjutant
Yeah,
General
three or
multiple
four
times. So,
Yes.
Yeah, so great. I was not able to write fast enough,
oh, okay.
but that's okay. So some of the things that are affected are like awards and medals and.
Oh, yeah, I can go through if that would be helpful. So,
That's fine.
yeah, section 4 is section 361, Military Department and National Guard. Again, just that provides that the Adjutant General basically oversees the military department and then has the authority to adopt rules. Section 5 is the one we just looked at, which is 363 in Title 20. That's the one where we put in the cross-reference because it's the one that states that the Adjutant General shall be biennially elected. And then there were several references within that particular section to Adjutant General. Section 365, which is section 6 of the bill on page 5, is discharges to officers. Discharges to commissioned officers may be granted by the governor under rules adopted by the Adjutant General. I will say, as I went through this, a lot of them were references to rules that the Adjutant General would be adopting. Section 369, which is section 7 of the bill, is the awards and medals. Section 8 just changes the title. So of the chapter, one of the subchapters, one of the chapters within Title 20, just to take out again the Adjutant and Inspector General and correct that. Section 9 goes through the duties generally of the Adjutant General. Section 10 is forms. And again, this is to do with communication at the with the federal government. Section 11, evidence of neglect or default in making returns. Section 12 is publication of laws. So again, this is making sure the Adjutant General is informing everybody about the laws related to the National Guard. Section 13 deals with the records that the Adjutant General is required to keep. And section 14, the war records and files, again, that the Adjutant General is responsible for. Section 15 deals with the sexual assault and harassment provision, which again is the Adjutant General is responsible for reporting to the General Assembly regarding complaints on an annual basis. Section 16 deals with the Provost Marshal and the appointments. Under that, the Adjutant General may appoint the someone to serve as the Provost Marshal. Section 17 is duties generally, but this is to do with the preservation, safekeeping, and cleaning of ordnance, arms, accoutrements, ammunitions, munitions of war, and implements of every description. So this is more, I think, what the Inspector General would have done originally, which, again, that came out when there was a last modernization of the statutes. Section 18 is deals with instructions to commanding officers. Section 19, provision for pay to make sure folks get their pay. Section 20 deals with the Board of Armory Commissioners and who's a member of the Board of Armory Commissioners. Section 21 looks at when and by whom the National Guard is called out. Section 22 deals with the duties of officers. Section 23 is the duties of enlisted members. Section 24 is damaged or destroyed property. And section 25 deals with the storage of property. And then section 26 gets into courts martials. Section 27 deals with expenses of military courts. And then section 28 talks about the rules of the National Guard. Again, there were several references around the creation of rules. Section 29 deals with commanding officer non-judicial discipline, as does section 30. Section 31 deals with appeals from non-judicial discipline decisions. Section 32 deals with the Adjutant General's duties as to Veterans Affairs. Section 33 deals with assistance and office space. Section 34 deals with cooperation with local organizations. Section 35 deals with acceptance of gifts, services, and facilities. Section 36 deals with the Vermont Veterans Fund. 37 deals with the Veterans Memorial Cemetery Advisory Board. 38 deals with aid to veterans in need. And then 39 deals with veteran education.
Well, thank you. That is really good rundown of all of the things that are in our jurisdiction in terms of the military affairs part of our committee. So that's helpful. Did you learn at all through this how we missed removing and inspector from the statutes the last time we did the modernization? Because there was a whole conversation about it and I'm not recalling the reason.
So I did ask Damien, who was the legislative counsel at the time, and to the best of his recollection, is it kind of came up, it was a conversation towards the end, and it was sort of, people just didn't have the appetite to go back. I mean, given the extensive nature of it, they just didn't have the appetite to take it on then. But yeah, I mean, as far as I could tell historically, it was because that those two roles were separate. And then at some point, the two roles were combined. So that was sort of the historical reason for it. But there didn't seem to be any concerns around removing the and inspector. But that was my main concern, was like, why wouldn't they have done it when the modernization happened? But I think it just sort of came up. That was what Damien shared. It sort of came up towards the end and people were just like, it's, we need to move the bill on. Like, we're just not ready to take this on.
It's sounding familiar to me, but I'm really glad you asked because that's been a burning question in my mind and I just haven't seen Damien around. So thank you very much for that. Any questions for Sophie before we wrap up this portion of the bill?
Just,
Rep. Coffin.
just the one, because I'm trying to refresh my memory and I thought it was your testimony. The Inspector General is actually a federal position.
That was the testimony you had last time, was that that's actually a federal position. I think historically it wasn't. Historically, there was, when it was just a state militia, there was an inspector general and there was an adjutant general, and then those roles got combined. But certainly that was not something I have personal knowledge of, but there is listed on the National Guard website for Vermont, an individual who holds the position of inspector general.
I was just trying to refresh my memory, so my notes were all in one spot.
And Rep. Morgan.
Yeah, I think it just harkens back to the day when the adjutant general was also considered the quartermaster, or the quartermaster worked for him or her. And as a result of all that collective stuff that you are responsible or accountable for that comes from federal monies, they had that duty of, like VL said, there was a federal nexus of they would come in and audit or inspect and go, you guys got problems. You're missing this or you're missing that, and as well as processes. So I think it just harkens back to those days where that's done a little bit differently, like VL was alluding to. It's different. So it's just a little historical. I believe that's my recollection of the whole process.
Rep. Stone.
And I also just wanted to say that it seems like a small change, but it's really important because the Inspector General, I'll just read it off. They serve as a confidential advisor and impartial fact finder, including for the Attorney General and command teams. So it's kind of like having her person who's in charge of harassment investigations also be the CEO of a company, because the Inspector General, because they're federal, kind of like they have to be impartial, and if something goes on with the Attorney General themselves, like they have to be a separate person. It can't be the same person. And that's why they split it up. And that came directly from, I learned about this, so I brought up on record from our National Guard who was watching it, watching the caucus of the whole, and like, whoa.
We have IG functions within the Guard, but they are more to up channel, like if there's a complaint.
There's an issue, they have to be impartial and like separate. So it seems like a small thing, but it's a big thing, and I appreciate you doing this.
It's important to clarify it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to us. 'Cause I do remember now that we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Last time we modernized. So we have this draft of H 811. And my understanding is that some of the other pieces that we've been working on will be next week rolled into this, and it will be a committee bill. There are a couple of military bills that are out there, veterans-related bills that are going to be standalone bills because they're a little bit complex to put into this bill. And we don't really need to muddy the waters. We want to keep it clean. So we'll be back in touch about that. But for now, does anybody have any concerns with this draft?
No.
Okay, good.
Straightforward.
And thank you very much for being with us. And if nobody else has any further business, we can go offline.
Thank you so much.